Fact is that most of us in our culture define who we are and how well we're doing, and even our very humanity, on the basis of some very artificial criteria. Those criteria, most of the time, are considered by people in our culture to be the ultimate. And they are things like success. How much success do I have? That is, how much money am I making? How much stuff comes into my life? How many accumulations am I able to get? And there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But as a criteria for your very humanity, it's a very low point. It's a very shallow place to determine whether or not you're living the kind of life that you're capable of living. Another one is performance, which we tend to laud in our culture and to almost worship. I'm number one. You see it all the time, people making a contest out of life, and performance being measured in terms of how far I get and what position I achieve in life, or what awards I have granted to me, or whatever. And the other is achievement. How far have I gone in my profession? How am I looked at by my peers and by other people in terms of my grades and my position on the ladder of success within a given corporation, things like that. These are almost like the ultimate in our culture, in the business world, in the educational world, in the entertainment world, whatever. We're always talking about success, achievement, and performance. What has happened for me, and what has happened for a lot of people, particularly in some of my recent books and tapes and so on, is that after you live this life for a while and you find yourself achieving a lot of things and performing at a very high level and being labeled a success by all of the external standards, you soon discover that there's an emptiness to that there's more to life than just being able to do that. That emptiness and that shallow feeling, and that it's just sort of almost like a selfish pursuit, gratifying one's ego and proving that we can accumulate as much stuff as we can, and success isn't any longer measured in terms of how we serve others, but in terms of how much I get for myself. And our goals become obsessions, not that we need any more, but that we've fallen into this trap of believing that we have to accumulate more, we have to get more, we have to perform at a higher level. If we win the championship, that's great, but how about doing it 2 times in a row? Nobody's ever done that before. And if we do it twice in a row, well, now we've got to do it 3 times in a row. And now we have to do it by shutting out our opponents completely. They can never get a point. And we are constantly looking outside of ourselves for these kinds of almost artificial ways of defining ourselves as human beings. And when you get trapped into that, you find that there's a lack of a sense of fulfillment. And what I want to talk about and make happen in this program is to have people ask the question, what would it be like to live your life as a work of art? A work of art that's in progress. That is, your life becomes a masterpiece that is unfolding in every moment of your life. Instead of looking at it in terms of how much can I get or how far can I go, begin to see that, all right, yes, I am capable of lots and lots of wonderful things, and I have accumulated a lot of things, and I've achieved at a very high level, and I'm performing very well, but I want to take a different perspective on what my life is. And I want to begin to see my life as this fabulous work of art, that I can shape it and shade it and mold it into whatever it is that I think would be the absolute ideal for my contribution while I'm here on this planet, for the actual unfolding of my humanity. And if you were to ask anybody, what is it that you would really like to have said about yourself, whose life would you look at and say, this is what I would like to have been said about me? Or this is the masterpiece that I would like my life to be. Would it be about how much stuff did I get? Or how big was my bank account? Or how fast did I run? Or how quickly did I get there? Or who did I beat in the process? For some, it might be, and that might be very satisfying. But on a much higher level than that, the answer to that question, for me, is in looking at the lives of people like Christ, who was perhaps the most influential person ever to live on our planet, ever to be on our planet. Muhammad, Buddha, spiritual masters who were leaving a message about the power of the human mind. More recently in our times, people like Gandhi, who was able to turn around the whole fate of a nation that had been subservient to an empire, the British Empire, all through a nonviolence and all through an approach to loving people and not making conflict something that has to be debilitating or destructive, and to literally put them on a course of running their own lives, all through simplicity and all through a sense of beauty and appreciation. Or Mother Teresa, who labors in the streets of Calcutta, just serving and just giving, and knows what she is for, and knows that she's not against anything. You see, the irony, there's a real irony in all of this, and I'm not here to put down, in any sense of the word, success and performance and achievement. I'm a person who has a lot of all of those things in my life. But I've found that those are the kinds of things that begin to matter less and less, and they show up more and more in your life when you find yourself getting more tuned into something much beyond all of that. It's like a knowingness. It's like creating a sense of what I'm here for, how I'm going to live this life that I have, and doing it in the service of others, maintaining a sense of spirituality about yourself, maintaining a sense of compassion and caring and love and decency for everyone that you meet, treating conflict and difficulties that come your way not as something for which you have to win or to master, but in fact as opportunities for you to see how you can transcend these things and not to have to use hatred and anger and bitterness and beating somebody else down in order to get to this higher place. It's very much a place of peace, and it doesn't mean like abdicating your role in life. It doesn't mean that you can no longer be an architect or that you can't be a salesman or whatever it is that you choose to do for a living. It's much beyond that. It's the way that you are, not what you're getting out of the way that you are. It's that wonderful work of art that your life becomes, that you begin to see that I can make my life unfold exactly the way the universe unfolds, with a real sense of perfection and harmony and peace for myself. And the more I do that, the paradox is that all of the things that I chased after so hard and so diligently show up in your life just the right amounts. It's an attitude of knowing, of surrendering, not to anyone, but surrendering from the things that most of us are pursuing all of our lives, where we get on that stress-filled, fast pace. I have to achieve, I have to perform, I have to succeed, I have to become number one, I have to beat everybody else in order to prove myself. You begin to develop an inner sense of harmony, that those kinds of things are very low-level determiners of what kind of a human being you're going to be.
It's like after a while, when you read this and you study it and you write about it and you start to experience it for yourself, you start to really go there, like in a new kind of prayer, not a prayer that is to someone to do things and help the Lions win this Sunday or whatever. It isn't that kind of a prayer at all. And you begin to experience it, and all of a sudden you start saying, you know, what these people have been saying for centuries is true. I mean, it's really true. That's the first experience I ever had with that. It was just alarming. My sister-in-law, Marilyn, was driving on the Lodge Freeway in Detroit with her husband, my brother, and their 3 children in the back seat. Now, she is a hardcore, linear, left-brain skeptic, okay? Worse than any banker could ever be, all right? And any accountant, all right? I mean, you had to show me. Otherwise, it doesn't exist for her. Medicine was her model. Anything that has to do with the mind, very skeptical. This car jumped the guardrail on the other side, on the southbound line, and landed right in her face at 60 miles an hour. She saw the wheels coming and land right there. Every bone in her face was broken. Her kidneys were punctured. She had internal bleeding and was in intensive care for 13 weeks. They took her into the hospital unconscious. And no one thought that she was going to survive the night. She was really in bad shape. And they performed surgery on her for 14 hours. And there was a team of surgeons, 6 of them. And they were talking during the surgery. As you can imagine, for 14 hours, you would be talking. My sister-in-law reported to me in 1971, when I was 31 years old, and just sort of starting on this path, that she watched the entire surgery. She said, Wayne, you're the only person, you're the only weird one in the family. All right? And you're weird enough to believe this, you know. And it's true, I am, because when I even worked with the mental patients and doing my postdoctoral stuff, they all got together on my birthday, and these were the real these were people who thought they were Napoleon and were really convinced, you know. And they all got together and they gave me a briefcase for my birthday. And I said, you know, you really shouldn't have done this. And they said, oh, we like you better than all the other doctors. I said, really, why? And one woman said, well, she said, you're more like one of us. You know, I said. So anyway, Marilyn said to me, Wayne, she said, what happened is that I left my body. And she said, I went up to the corner of the room. I was surrounded by this light, and I was in the presence of God. It was like a consciousness. It was like, I can't describe it because it doesn't have boundaries. It didn't have form, but it was a magnificent light. And I was there, and there was this tunnel. And I could have gone through this tunnel, and I had the choice, and it was so peaceful, and it felt so good. It was the most blissful I've ever been in my life. And she said, and I watched the surgeons performing on me, and I watched them working on my body, knowing that that wasn't me. When she came out of it after 14 hours of surgery, there were 2 of the surgeons, they were voting on whether they should continue this or not, or whether they should just pull the plug. She had very little heartbeat at all, and she was so badly punctured internally, and her bleeding was so bad, and there was infection and so on, that they just didn't think she would, and if she did survive, they thought it was. So 2 of them were saying, let's just give up on this, you know, and go on to other people. The 4 doctors prevailed, who said that we really believe that we can save this person. And Marilyn then made it. She had 3 little children, my 2 nephews and 1 niece were in the backseat. They were just little children at the time, 2, 4, and 5. And Marilyn decided that she could re-enter, even though it was painful and didn't want to do it. She was given, it's like given the choice. And she went back. And when she came out of it, she told the surgeons which ones had said, let's give up on it, and which ones had said, let's stay with it. And she had gave them word for word what they had said in this event. And she said it was at that time that I became really, truly aware. And she said since then, she has gotten to meet some of what they call NDEers, near-death experiences. And that everybody who has this near-death experience, Raymond Moody writes about it, has the same thing to report. And that is that when they come back, and they do it reluctantly, they have what we call the big picture. And since then, I mean, you wouldn't believe my sister-in-law. She is the calmest, most loving, easiest going. You can't get to her. You can't get to her. She has an inner candle flame that never flickers, though the worst goes before her. And the worst is my brother. And he goes before her all the time. And he's very linear. He's an insurance, he's a wonderful, loving, beautiful person. All of his stuff is motivated out of caring and concern. He wants to always, but he wants to do so damn much that it becomes like, all right, enough. I got the map. All right, yeah, but do you know which turn to make? Yeah, I know. And it's half an hour of that kind of. And she just sits there and just reads. And when there's a family squabble and people get themselves all upset, she just picks up a book and just excuses herself. And she goes over into the corner, and the kids say, you know, when someone will be around, their friends, they say, what's with your mom? And they all say, oh, she's got the big picture. It's like having the big picture. And these people, all of them report when they come back from that, they have this like near-death experience. It's like tension and stress and anxiety and fear and all of that stuff that occupies so much of our lives is just gone. It's just not a part of the consciousness any longer. My suggestion is that we don't have to have that kind of traumatic event happen to our form to understand the universal principles and to surrender to them and to make them work every day in our life. That we don't have to go there. That we can unmuddle all of this metaphysical psychobabble, jargons kind of stuff and begin to live the spiritual life and have the understanding that we are truly spiritual beings having a human experience, and that the quality of that human experience is only available to us through our thoughts, through our mind, through our divine connection. And that whatever your religious belief, whatever label you place on yourself, try not to think of yourself as Christian. Try to be Christ-like, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Try not to think of yourself as Jewish, but be Jehovah-like, or Buddha-like, or Mohammed-like. These were not people who were asking anyone to deify idols and wooden deities and an orthodoxy. But instead we're talking about kindness and love and forgiveness and gentleness and spirit, and that we're all connected, and you begin to live that way. And it's really quite an easy thing to do.
It just depends on where you are in your path. Some people need that. Like some people who are alcoholics or drug abusers continue to drink and continue to use drugs, knowing that if their life was threatened, they would stop, and knowing that they have the strength to stop at any time, but being unwilling to do it because they don't feel that the threat to their life is there. And then the threat comes. They go to the doctor, they go in for a physical, they find out that they've got a lump on their lungs, they find out that their wife is going to leave them because they're abusing drugs all the time, they're going to lose their family, and they come home one day and their family is gone, or whatever. And that's like a near-death experience emotionally, to lose your family or to find out that you've got lung cancer or whatever. And they instantly become transformed. Now, what does it take to get people to get the big picture? Well, what does it take to get people to change? The answer to that is different for everybody. I can't pretend to say that I have an answer. There are some people who need, for example, to change, they need a support group, and they need a therapist, and they need to go to a rehabilitation center, and they need to read 400 books, and they need to listen to these kinds of tapes, and they need to reinforce it over and over and over again in their lives in order to change. And that's the way some people are wired together. And that's all fine. And if that's how your internal circuitry works, then by all means, go with it. I, on the other hand, am not that kind of a person. I make decisions instantaneously about what my life is going to be or not going to be. When I was a young boy, I tasted coffee. I had a cup of coffee that was given to me. I was about 14 or 15 years old. I tasted it. It was bitter. It tasted funny. It tasted like chemicals that I didn't want to. And I said to my mother and my brothers, I will never drink coffee in my life. Now I'm 49 years old now, okay? That was many, many years ago. It was 35 years ago. And I tasted it, knew it, and made that declaration, and I have never had a cup of coffee since then. I look at the coffee, people offer it to me and everything, and I just know that I don't want that bitter taste in my mouth, and I don't want that caffeine, and I know that, all right? So that's how I am able to make change. But that doesn't mean that that's the right way and that's the best way. And I can sit here with great confidence and say that I won't be drinking coffee, and I'll never have a cigarette. I can say that for certain, having quit 25 years ago. And I can say for certain about a lot of things in my life, that I won't be overweight, that I will stay in shape, and all of those kinds of things. For others, it's a daily struggle, and it's like it's coming to know yourself. So the path to the big picture is different for everyone. But the understanding has to be that the big picture is there, and its availability is there. And if you need to have a near-death experience, like Marilyn did, in order to get that big picture and be able to relax in the face of conflict, be able to not allow yourself to get stressed out over small things, being able to enjoy your present moments and find fulfillment and joy in them, then have that near-death experience, but have it in your mind only. Okay? So create that experience for yourself. One of the ways to do that is through meditation. Another way to do that is just by visualizing or just imaging it for yourself. Participate in your own funeral, in your mind, if you have to. See yourself dying of a horrible disease and suffering. Go through it. Experience it. Die while you're alive. Experience that whole thing. And as you experience that, see for yourself that this doesn't have to be brought into form. That I can act it out in my mind like a dream, live through it, get the experience of it, and then decide, well, I don't have to bring this into my form any longer. And make then a decision not to do it. So whatever it takes for you, all I'm saying is that you don't have to go through it in the world of form. In your physical world, you can transform, go beyond your form. You can be metaphysical, go beyond the physical, experience it in your mind where there are no limits. There's no limits to your imagination. There's no limits to your thoughts. But literally be there. And then when you come out of it, realize that, okay, that's enough. I've done that now. Let me practice the big picture. Let me see it isn't anything that I have to really create in my life any more than that. And once you're able to do that, once you can create that for yourself, then you get all the benefits of the big picture. By the big picture, I mean you know in your heart and in your soul that there's more to life than just what my body is going through. And you know that there's nothing worth getting yourself all bogged down about and getting all depressed about and all worked up about. You know it all. You see all of that. And everything that I'm doing to create that, like Marilyn, I'm always amazed at Marilyn, how she's able to just let all of that stuff just float by her. When the kids have this particular problem, when my brother gets on her about that, or when things aren't going, it's how she just sort of calmly, and ever since that accident, has calmly just gone off in a corner and just sort of let it all work itself out. It's part of the surrendering process. When we take this power of this invisible part of us, it's so hard to define this. We call it a belief, or you call it a thought, or you call it your soul, or your spirit, or whatever. But that invisible part of you that really determines everything about your life. And you begin to say to yourself, all right, how can I apply the awareness of these thoughts and how I use my mind to make my life all that I want it to be? To bring into my life the things that are important to me, to improve the quality of my relationships, to have the success and so on that I think that I'm entitled to. And it's really getting to the point where you know that every thought that you have has a potential for coming into your life, for coming into form. You start to get real cautious about having anything in your mind that isn't going to work for you. And you begin to question why you would keep any of those thoughts in you. I can remember one story of a woman who came to me one time and told me how miserable she was, that she was married to a drunk. And I said, well, what's wrong? And she said, well, he slurs his words and he repeats himself and he smells bad and it's just awful to be around him. And I said, let's see if I understand. Let's see who's crazy in this little scenario you've just described. Now, you said you've married to a drunk, and the drunk slurs his words and he repeats himself and he smells bad and he sounds foolish. I said, that's every drunk I've ever known does exactly that. We got a drunk who's acting and doing everything that you would expect a drunk to do. Now we got you. And you're married to someone that you call a drunk, and you're expecting him to be sober. You know, now who's crazy? The drunk who's doing what he's supposed to, or you who's expecting someone who is what you've defined him to be something different than what they are? He is what he is. And why would you want to entertain, why would you want to keep thoughts in your mind that are making you miserable, which is going to expand misery for you in your life by just having those thoughts there? Why not change around those thoughts and tell yourself that you're, like, if you argue for your misery, then the only thing you're going to get is your misery. You have to get that, and you're arguing for it all the time. You're going around talking about how miserable you are. So you want to get real careful about that. And I suggest to every one of you that whatever it is you find yourself incapable of doing, or whatever you found that has been a great obstacle, or whatever it is that's in a relationship that isn't working, that you just can't seem to transcend, or whatever's going on with a particular employee or a way that you're approaching anything in your business, that if you examine, just for a moment, if you examine what belief is it that supports this behavior, because the ancestor to every action is a belief, is a thought, and then work at re-examining that. I mean, I've done that so many times in my own life, and things that don't seem like they're that important to other people. Like my wife doesn't understand why certain things about my tennis game that I play every day that I've really challenged. I mean, I grew up with the belief that I couldn't hit a backhand. And it was for 10 years I told myself that I don't have a backhand. I can't hit a backhand. And then I began to change that belief around. And it wasn't that I just, practice. I began to visualize myself doing all the things that it takes to make a backhand work for myself. I began to do that with a serve. I began to do that with a drop shot. Instead of telling myself, I can't hit a drop shot, and then acting out on that, and a whole match will go by, and a whole year will go by, and I'll never hit a drop shot, or I'll never hit a lob, or I'll never try a spin serve, or whatever. If you keep telling yourself that you can't do something, you act on that belief, and whether it's just a silly little thing like improving your tennis game, which isn't so silly if you're making your living off of it, or if you're coaching it, or any other skill area, or anything in your life, change around the thought, as you think, so shall you be. Years ago, my wife and I were going through some personal difficulties. We were making a decision about whether or not we were going to stay together, very frankly. Everybody in a relationship, I believe, has these moments and times when there's a struggle there and you've been together for a while and you're not certain whether this is the right path and you're thinking about these things and so on. And nevertheless, it was a very difficult time emotionally for both of us. And I can remember years and years ago, as we were going through this, what it did for me to be in that state. I became much more loving. I became much more concerned with other people. I became less concerned with the pettiness of so many things that you find yourself worked up about, because I had a different focus in my life. And I can remember thinking as we resolved it and got back closer together, and today are very close and very loving together, looking back on that time as like something that I had to go through at that time. And that what it did is it helped me to see how absurd it is for us to be focused on the minutia of life. Whether or not the walls are clean, or whether or not the toys are put away, or whether or not your food is prepared on time, or whether somebody is late with something, or whether the phone doesn't ring or does ring or whatever. Like all of those things are so minute in contrast to what you're really struggling with. And then what it also helped me to do in terms of getting this big picture was to look at some of the things that other people were going through, some of the problems and difficulties that they were having. Very often when something goes wrong in somebody else's life that we're close to, one of our parents gets ill, there's an accident of some kind. When Marilyn had that accident, I can remember how it affected me. And it gives you pause to remind yourself that you have a lot to be thankful for, and that you have a very powerful mind here that can make anything happen that you want to happen as long as you keep yourself centered or keep yourself focused. I was able to shift from all of those petty little things. I can remember I was doing a show out in Seattle at that time that I was going through that tough period. And somebody asked me a question that 6 months before I would have answered sort of flippantly, sort of smart-alecky. It wouldn't have given it the attention that it deserved. I would have thought of it as perhaps too trivial. And I can remember looking into the woman's eyes who asked me the show. I was on a TV show out there in Seattle, and thinking, because I was struggling at that time, I became much more compassionate towards this person, much more tuned into the pain that they were feeling, even though it seemed trivial in comparison to what I was. And it allowed me to get to be more loving. And then I look back on that now and I think, well, that's what I had to learn. That's what it was for, that there's a purpose in everything. And that perhaps one of the things that I had to learn 8 or 10 years ago was how to be more compassionate. And perhaps the only way I was going to learn how to be more compassionate was to have to go through some of this stuff myself. So, like, you can do that. You can do that now in your own life. Know that there's a lesson in this for you. Know that there are no accidents in this perfect universe. And know that the deep troubles that you may be experiencing or may be hard for you have something in them for you. And that there's a secondary purpose to them. And if it does help you to slow down, and if it does help you to get a bigger picture, and it does help you to be more compassionate and more loving towards other people, then what you do is you begin to bless those things that are in your own life as offering you an opportunity to transcend them. And once you've transcended them, then you don't have to go back to that again. And for sure, my wife and I do not have to go back to ever doubting whether we want to make it and whether we want our family to stay intact and whether we want to stay loving and so on. We don't ever have to question that again. We've been there, and we both learned how to look within. And when you do look within, to be grateful for what this person is offering you. So that every time I think about my wife behaving in a way that I don't like or vice versa, we've learned how to zip it, how to just not make ourselves miserable by saying things and by doing things that will just create more difficulties, because we've been on the edge. We've been to that edge, and we've looked over the edge and seen what it's like to maybe have to raise a family as a single parents or whatever, and to be without each other. And now we're a tremendous source of strength to each other instead of looking for the things that we don't like. So the way to the big picture often is through seeing the problems in your own life from a different perspective and seeing how difficult other people have it. When you're wondering about how troubled you are, look at the Alzheimer's patient whose mind is slowly slipping away from them, and they even are aware that it's happening and they don't know what to do about it. Coming up here on the airplane yesterday, there was a story in the paper of a man and his wife who just got so desperate that they had to call the police. They have 4 children. 4 little children under the age of 6, just like I do. And they had to call the police because they didn't want to raise them homeless. They didn't want their children, they were being evicted from the final hotel because they had raised their rent from $160 a week to $210, and they just simply didn't have it. And rather than put their children out on the street, they called the police and asked the Department of Human Resources to come and keep their children for them for a while until they could get themselves back together. And I thought, my goodness, what kind of problems of mine could even be anything near what it must be like to be faced with the idea of having to go out on the street with my children, my little babies. And these were little babies. One was 3, one was 4, and one was 5. Just tiny little children to be out on the streets, on the cold streets. And I made a commitment that I was going to contact them when I get back and try to get them something. And other people are helping them as well. But it also gives you time to get the bigger picture, when you see things like that. It's a good thing to remember. Another thing is that in order to get this bigger picture and get to this place, that you can stop feeling sorry for yourself. You can stop the self-pity, because it's happening you've got to trust, you've got to surrender, you've got to know that what's coming your way has a purpose in it, has a lesson in it, that there's order in chaos. And underneath that chaos, you've got to look for that order and look for that blessing. And so one of the things you might have to learn is how to get off of pity and feeling sorry for yourself. And one of the ways to do that is to start focusing on doing something new, doing something different, keeping yourself occupied. Marilyn would go to her knitting. I found myself getting more wrapped up in giving talks because my talks improved, literally improved when I was going through that struggle. And so did my writing, because I was just experiencing more compassion for myself. The way to experience that compassion is to get yourself focused, get yourself on something, doing something, and then generally it will work out. The other thing, when you are concentrating on something else or when you are doing something else, your mind can't be on what is wrong. And when you get your mind off of what is wrong, you get it on what is right. What is right is what expands, and what is wrong tends to go away.
One of the most alarming insights I had was 5 years ago when my grandmother died. I was with her. She was 95 years old. And she was an hour from death. And she was admitted to the hospital about 2 o'clock in the morning. And one of the things that the hospital did was that they weighed her for some reason. They had to have, they're into their records and keeping track of things. You don't get into heaven if you don't have a weight certificate. And maybe if you're excess baggage, you don't get in or something. I don't know what their thinking is, but there's this kind of linear, all this record keeping. I always wonder about all the people who died before we had records, before we did that. Whatever happened to all of them. And so she weighed 133 pounds when she entered the hospital, and we all knew that she was very close. And then life passed from her body. We watched as life literally left her body. And there she was. There was this package of, it was getting cold and stiff, and it was like this package of bones and stuff, matter. And it certainly wasn't my grandmother, that package there that was now deteriorating and going to be gone. And when they weighed her for the death certificate, she weighed 133 pounds, exactly the same. So that whatever it is that constituted her life, her very essence, is invisible and weightless. You can't weigh it. And that's true for you. That's true for every single one of us. That what our life really is all about, it defies the world of form. It defies the world of linear. And yet we spend almost all of our energy and our time here, in this part of our consciousness, in form, believing that this is who we are. When you learn to go into your mind, when you learn that your mind is really a place that you can visit and exquisitely touch the face of God, you can remove the tension and stress and everything else that's troublesome in your life when you give yourself time to experience your true humanity. You know, John Quincy Adams sat in the White House. He was our 6th president, and he was the most spiritual man who ever sat there, I think. He was a man who rejected slavery while other people, including one of his best friends, Thomas Jefferson, practiced it. He was a man who was highly spiritual and very intellectual, perhaps the highest intellect of anyone who ever was there. And this is what he wrote about himself 3 days before he died in a letter to Thomas Jefferson. He used his house as a metaphor for his body. And this is really the message of what I have to say here today. He said, John Quincy Adams is well, but the house in which he lives at the present time is becoming dilapidated. It's tottering on its foundations. Time and the seasons have nearly destroyed it. Its roof is pretty well worn out. I can identify with that one, I'll tell you. Its walls are much shattered and tremble with every wind. I think John Quincy Adams will have to move out of it soon. But he himself is quite well, thank you. That concept of understanding that universal intelligence that is a part of our consciousness is not just something for mystics and people to go in loincloths and contemplate in caves. It's for us. It's for every one of us in the practice of our daily lives, in whatever business we're in.
I had a hair on the pillow the other morning. I held it up to my wife. I said, honey, what held it in yesterday? Well, something did. It's invisible. In our culture, particularly in the West, we have a tendency to believe that this is who we are. And we decorate our form, and we perfume it, and we insure it, and we build a house around it, and we mortgage that, and we watch it, and we look in the mirror, and we say, oh my God, look at what's happening to it, and there's another wrinkle that wasn't there before, and how did that get there? And it's completely out of your control. It's all handled for you. There's such a beautiful lesson to learn, such a beautiful spiritual lesson to learn. If you look at a vase and watch a sculptor make a vase, the sculptor shapes his clay and finishes it up. And what is it that makes it a vase? You think it's the material? You think it's the pottery? You think it's the clay? No. It's the empty, silent space inside that the clay surrounds that allows it to be a vase. Otherwise, it's just some pottery. What makes this a room? What makes your house a house? Think about it. It's not the walls. It's not the material that has been put all around us that you live in. It's the space, the empty, silent space inside that makes a house a house. It's the space between the bars that holds the tiger, as they say in Zen. And it's the silence between the notes that makes the music. It's not the note. That's the note. What makes the music is the silence between the notes. And so it is with you. Robert Frost put it this way, more beautifully than I could ever say it. We all sit around in a circle and suppose, while the secret sits in the center and knows and knows. You must come in contact with that empty, silent space that is within, not the form that encapsulates it. So difficult for us in a world of bottom line, left-brained, analytical, get to the point mentality that we find ourselves in. But all you have to do is look around. Look and understand that whatever the intelligence is that is in back of or suffusing all form in the universe, that allows it to be that empty, silent space that some call God, some call spirit, some call soul, some call Muhammad, some call Buddha, the label doesn't matter. And I am not up here on this stage to proselytize for any particular religious point of view at all. It is not my purpose. It has nothing to do with what I'm here. It is to get you to understand the power of that invisible, silent, empty space that we all know as thought.
The awakening process, the awakened life, what a wonderful notion that is, to be awakened. It's like when you go to sleep at night and you're dreaming, the only way you know you're dreaming is to awaken. And it's a similar thing here, this awakened life business that we're talking about. When you wake up from this dream, this 80-year dream or 100-year dream, you begin to realize that the only way you know you're dreaming is to awaken. You want to create an awakening process where you really are looking back on the dream from a perspective of what is, rather than what you think it should be, or judging it. And there was a wonderful lady. Some of you will have heard of her. Her name was Peace Pilgrim. And no one ever knew her real name. And Peace Pilgrim was this woman who was in her 70s when she died, I believe. And she walked all across the country, just promoting peace. She was a little old white-haired lady, and she would go on television and radio stations and just talk about how positive it could be, and then she would walk to the next city and the next. There's a book out about her called Peace Pilgrim. And she had, in one of her little booklets, something that I think is really an indication of the awakened life, a real indication that you're awakening. And this is just a real short list of what some of those things are. When you see yourself moving beyond that success, that performance, that achievement that so motivates your life, and begin to awaken to a new level, to a whole new level of experience. You'll see it this way. The first thing you'll notice is a tendency to think and act spontaneously, rather than on fears based on your past experiences. In other words, you begin to trust and surrender and to have a sense of spontaneity about your life. And you're not always focused on whether it's going to work out or not going to work out, and be afraid if it doesn't. And those thoughts are you're no longer wanting those thoughts to expand in your life. And then you'll notice an unmistakable ability to enjoy each moment of your life. Every moment becomes an exquisite part of your existence. And you'll find yourself, even in times when you used to think of them as boring or routine, like, maybe getting at an airport and being delayed for a couple of hours, you begin to find an unmistakable ability to enjoy that, and to not judge it, and to see it for what it is, and to even be grateful for it, that you're not getting on a plane that wasn't supposed to leave at that time. You begin to see it that way. And you begin to enjoy the little things that we so take for granted. The moments with your children, the The times when there's chaos around and you think, oh my God, I'm never going to get through this. You suddenly can stop yourself in the middle of that and see the irony and the fun and the joy in it. And the quiet times, and even driving back and forth to work, or you find yourself having this unmistakable new ability to enjoy every moment that you find in your life and to treat it all as a gift. It's a sign of the awakened life. You also find that you're developing a loss of interest in judging other people. You're off of judgment. You're moving beyond that. You understand the truth and the notion that you don't define other people with your judgments. You define yourself as someone who needs to judge. That each one of us is defined by our own thoughts and our own actions. And even those people who are behaving in ways that are antisocial and that are criminal and so on, you find yourself less judging them and more seeing them for what they are. Not saying that they shouldn't be held accountable and responsible, of course. But that judgment, that inner hostility, that inner anger toward them is replaced by a sense of wondering, how could that little baby at one time who was in its mother's arms turn out this way? What created that? And I wonder if there's anything I can do to help eliminate that in other children, rather than the judgment. You find a loss of interest in interpreting the actions of other people. You don't become this great interpreter for what everybody is and what everybody is doing. The awakened life beckons you to just sort of observe it, to note it. And even in your own behavior, you become less inclined to interpret it and more inclined to say that this is just an indication of where I am or where I am not at this particular moment. And with no need to analyze it. You see, when you analyze something, analyzing is really a violent intellectual act. When you analyze something, you have to break it apart, tear it apart and break it open and find out every little piece of it. It's like intellectually violent. The opposite of analysis is what we call synthesis. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin talked about the universal synthesizer is love. You begin to see how everything fits together. Rather than analyzing every little bit of life and interpreting everything for people, you try to do less of that and more of seeing how we all fit together. The awakened life means a loss of confrontation. You're no longer interested in it. It just isn't important to you. It's like having to prove yourself and make a contest out of everything is just no longer there for you. The real sense of the awakened life behind that is that you don't have to make anybody else wrong. And you don't have to make yourself right. That's the real sense of awakening, when you begin to know that there's much more to life than making a contest out of it. I noticed that when my little boy, who's 2 years old, goes out to play, any place, the only reason that he does it is for fun. I mean, he doesn't try to win, he doesn't try to beat anybody, he doesn't try to confront anybody. He just goes out to play. And we lose that in the name of confrontation and conflict. I remember Tom Crum talking in his book, The Magic of Conflict, about an example of if you were an adult and you went to a playground and you decided to sit down with a 3-year-old and to make sandcastles. And you made all these beautiful sandcastles, and suddenly the 3-year-old stood up and kicked your sandcastle over. What would you do with that? I mean, you wouldn't try to make him wrong and make yourself right, and you wouldn't have a fit about it, and you wouldn't scream, and you wouldn't holler, and you wouldn't say, how dare you do this, such a thing, and be all upset about it, and I've made a contest out of it. You'd say, this is what 3-year-olds do. They knock over sandcastles, and it's just for play. You begin to develop that sense that inside every one of us is a little 2-year-old who wants to come out and play and doesn't have to win, and doesn't have to beat anybody, and doesn't have to be in conflict or confrontation. That little child inside of you begins to surface when you start awakening. You lose the ability to worry. I didn't say you lose worry, you lose the ability to worry. It's no longer part of you. You begin to understand the absurdity of worry. You begin to see that it makes no sense to worry about the things that you have no control over. Because if you have no control over them, it makes no sense to worry about them. And then it makes no sense to worry about the things that you do have control over. Because if you got control over them, it makes no sense to worry about them. And there goes everything that you ever worried about. You either have control or you don't. And if you don't, you move on. And if you do, you take control. As you awaken, you lose that ability to just worry about things and instead accept them. You'll notice frequent, overwhelming episodes of appreciation, as she puts it. Frequent, overwhelming episodes of appreciation. Appreciating everything, being thankful. It's one of the great ways to become awakened in your life, is to be thankful for everything and to give thanks for it. You know, I'd like to see the churches of America have services on Sunday morning where they have, like, Liver Appreciation Day, you know, like to appreciate your liver every Sunday and have an ode to the liver, you know, and a theology of the liver and how grateful we are for our liver. And if we didn't have our liver, imagine, how, you know, and then the next week is like, you know, the Heart Appreciation Week. It's like, appreciate every little tiny thing that is a part of what it is that makes you alive. Your teeth, your tongue, the air that you breathe, the ionosphere, the atmosphere, the ground, the sun, the stars. It's like you start having these overwhelming episodes of appreciation as you awaken, and you appreciate getting on a plane and having it take off and having it land and having a seat and having someone to serve you a drink and being able to wear clothes and everything about your life. And as you become more aware of how much you have and how much you have to be grateful for, you become less focused on scarcity and what you don't have, because your mind is focused on what you do have. And when your mind is focused on what you do have expands. You begin to develop contented feelings of connectedness with others and with nature. You begin to see that every human being that you meet any place on the planet shares being human with you and what it feels like to be human. You begin to see that there's a oneness to it all, that there's a universal mind, that you're a part of it. And you know that each one of us is connected and that on a round planet we can't choose up sides. That you begin to know that, then you treat the people that you come into contact with the same sense of reverence that you have for yourself, because you are, in fact, that person. It's why Jesus said on the cross when the spear was thrown into him, "Forgive him, Father, for he knows not what he does." The reason he knows not what he does, he doesn't know that he's throwing a spear into himself. Because every time you hurt another human being, you hurt the generic human being. You hurt all of us. And every time you send out love, you create a sense of harmony in that being. You begin to have what she called frequent attacks of smiling. You become more joyous, more merry, more contented as you awaken and get beyond all of this need to accumulate and perform and achieve, which is all wonderful. But when you go beyond it, you begin to develop an increased susceptibility to the love extended by others, as well as the uncontrollable urge to extend it to others. Love becomes what you are, and you can't give away what you don't have, and you can only give away what you do have. And if what you have is love, then that's what you find yourself giving away.
Have you ever felt like you weren't enough? Like no matter what you did or how hard you tried, you just couldn't measure up to some invisible standard of worth and value? If so, you're not alone. In fact, I'd venture to say that every single person watching this video has felt that way at some point in their lives. But here's the thing, those feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. They're not real. They're just stories we tell ourselves based on past experiences, societal messages, and our own inner critics. And the good news is we have the power to rewrite those stories and start believing in ourselves fully and completely. So today I want to invite you on a journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance. A journey that starts with a simple but profound idea that you are enough, exactly as you are, in this moment and in every moment. I know it's easy to say, but harder to believe, right? Especially when we live in a world that's constantly telling us we need to be more, do more, and have more in order to be happy and successful. But what if I told you that true happiness and success come from accepting and loving ourselves, flaws and all? Think about it when we're constantly striving to be someone we're not, or to achieve some external marker of success. We're sending ourselves the message that we're not good enough as we are. We're telling ourselves that our worth is conditional based on what we do or what we have rather than on who we are. But the truth is, our worth is inherent and unchangeable. It's not something we have to earn or prove, and it's not something that can be taken away from us. It's a fundamental part of who we are, and it's always been there, even if we've forgotten or lost sight of it along the way. So how do we start remembering and reclaiming our inherent worth? How do we start acting like we're enough, even when we don't always feel that way? Well, the first step is to become aware of our thoughts and beliefs about ourselves, to notice when we're engaging in negative self-talk or comparing ourselves to others, and to gently redirect our focus to something more positive and uplifting. One simple but powerful practice is to start each day by looking in the mirror and saying to yourself, I am enough. Say it out loud with conviction and feeling, even if it feels uncomfortable or untrue at first. Because the more we repeat something to ourselves, the more we start to believe it, and the more it becomes a part of our identity and our reality. Another way to cultivate a sense of enoughness is to practice gratitude and self-compassion. To focus on the things we appreciate about ourselves and our lives rather than on what we lack or what we wish were different. And to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding we would extend to a good friend who is struggling or making mistakes. Because the truth is, we all make mistakes. We all have flaws and imperfections, and that's what makes us human. But those flaws and imperfections don't diminish our worth or our value. They're simply part of the beautiful, messy, complex tapestry of who we are. So instead of trying to hide or fix our perceived shortcomings, what if we embrace them? What if we saw them as opportunities for growth and learning rather than as reasons to feel ashamed or inadequate? Because when we can accept and love ourselves, flaws and all, that's when we start to show up in the world in a more authentic and powerful way. That's when we start to attract people and opportunities that align with our true selves rather than with some false persona we've created to try to fit in or please others. And that's when we start to experience true joy and fulfillment, because we're no longer living for external validation or approval. We're living for ourselves and for the unique purpose and gifts we have to offer the world. Now, I know this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually put it into practice? How do we start acting like we're enough, even when we've spent years or decades telling ourselves otherwise? Well, one powerful tool is affirmations. Positive statements that we repeat to ourselves regularly to help reprogram our subconscious mind and shift our beliefs about ourselves and the world around us. Some examples of affirmations that can help cultivate a sense of enoughness might be: I am worthy and deserving of love and respect just as I am. I trust in my own abilities and instincts, and I know that I have everything I need within me. I release the need for perfection, and I embrace my flaws and mistakes as opportunities for growth and learning. I am grateful for all the unique qualities and experiences that make me who I am. The key with affirmations is to say them with feeling and conviction, even if we don't fully believe them at first, because the more we repeat them, the more they start to sink into our subconscious and become a part of our inner dialogue. Another way to start acting like we're enough is to surround ourselves with people and environments that support and uplift us, to seek out friends, mentors, and communities that see our inherent worth and value, and that encourage us to be our best selves. Because let's face it, we all need support and encouragement sometimes. We all need people in our lives who believe in us, even when we're struggling to believe in ourselves. And when we have that kind of support system, it becomes so much easier to show up in the world with confidence and authenticity. So if you're feeling like you're not enough, or like you need to be someone you're not in order to be accepted and loved, I want you to know that you're not alone. And more importantly, I want you to know that those feelings are not the truth. The truth is, you are enough, you always have been, and you always will be. And the more you can start to act like it, the more you'll start to believe it, and the more you'll start to see evidence of it all around you. Because when we act like we're enough, we start to create a life that reflects that belief. We start to attract people and opportunities that honor and value us, and we start to let go of the things that don't serve us or align with our true selves. And that's when the magic happens. That's when we start to experience true joy and fulfillment, because we're living in alignment with our deepest truths and our highest potential. So if you're ready to start acting like you're enough, here are a few simple steps you can take today. Start your day with an affirmation that affirms your inherent worth and value. Say it out loud with feeling and conviction, and repeat it throughout the day whenever you need a reminder. Practice self-compassion and self-care. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would extend to a good friend, and prioritize activities that nourish your mind, body, and spirit. Surround yourself with people and environments that support and uplift you. Seek out friends, mentors, and communities that see your inherent worth and encourage you to be your best self. Let go of perfectionism and embrace your flaws and mistakes as opportunities for growth and learning. Remember that everyone makes mistakes and that they don't diminish your worth or value. Focus on gratitude and appreciation for all the unique qualities and experiences that make you who you are. Celebrate your strengths and talents and cultivate a sense of wonder and joy for the world around you. And above all, remember that you are enough. You are worthy and deserving of love and respect, just as you are. And the more you can start to act like it, the more you'll start to create a life that reflects the truth. So take a deep breath, stand tall, and step into your inherent worth and value. The world needs your unique gifts and talents, and there's no better time than now to start sharing them with confidence and authenticity. And if you ever forget or lose sight of your enoughness, just come back to this video and remind yourself of the truth that you are enough, and that you always have been, that your worth is not something you have to earn or prove, but something that is inherent and unchangeable. So go out there and act like it. Live like it. And watch as your life starts to transform in ways you never thought possible. Because when you act like you're enough, you open yourself up to a world of possibility and potential. You start to attract people and opportunities that align with your true self, and you start to create a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. And that's what I want for you. That's what I want for every single person watching this video. To know your worth, to claim your power, and to live a life that honors your deepest truths and your highest potential. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. You have a community of people who see you, who believe in you, and who are cheering you on every step of the way. People who understand the challenges and the triumphs of claiming your enoughness, and who are here to support and encourage you along the way. So lean on that community. Reach out for help when you need it. And offer your own support and encouragement to others who are on a similar path, because we're all in this together and we all have something valuable to offer and to learn from each other. And as you continue on this journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance, remember to be patient and compassionate with yourself. Remember that growth and change take time and that there will be ups and downs along the way. But also remember that every step you take, every time you choose to act like you're enough, you're making progress, you're strengthening your belief in yourself, and you're creating a ripple effect of positivity and inspiration that touches everyone around you. Because when you live from a place of enoughness, you give others permission to do the same. You show them that it's possible to let go of self-doubt and insecurity and to embrace their own inherent worth and value. And that's how we change the world, one person at a time, by showing up as our authentic selves and by inspiring others to do the same, by acting like we're enough and by helping others to see and claim their own enoughness. So keep going, keep growing, keep shining your light and sharing your gifts with the world. Because the world needs you, and there's no one else quite like you. And if you ever doubt yourself or feel like you're not making progress, just remember you are enough. You always have been and you always will be. And every time you act like it, you're one step closer to creating the life of your dreams. So take that step, take that leap of faith, and trust that the universe will catch you and that it will conspire in your favor. Because when you act like you're enough, you open yourself up to a world of abundance and possibility. You start to see opportunities and blessings all around you, and you start to trust in the journey of your life. And that's when the real magic happens. That's when you start to experience a sense of peace and purpose that comes from living in alignment with your deepest truths and your highest potential. So keep going, keep growing, keep acting like you're enough, and watch as your life starts to transform in ways you never thought possible. And know that I'm here with you every step of the way, cheering you on, believing in you, and reminding you of your inherent worth and value. Because you are enough, you are worthy, you are valuable, and you have so much to offer the world just by being yourself. So go out there and be yourself, act like you're enough, and watch as the world reflects that truth back to you. And if you ever need a reminder, just come back to this video, come back to this moment, and remember the truth of who you are. Remember that you are enough, and that you always have been. Remember that your worth is not something you have to earn or prove, but something that is inherent and unchangeable. And remember that you have a community of people who believe in you, who support you, and who are here to remind you of your enoughness whenever you need it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself and for the world. Thank you for being willing to explore your enoughness and to start acting like the incredible, worthy, valuable being that you are. And know that I'm with you every step of the way, cheering you on, believing in you, and reminding you of the truth of who you are. So go out there and shine. Go out there and be yourself. Go out there and act like you're enough, because you are. And watch as your life starts to reflect that truth back to you in ways you never thought possible. Because when you act like you're enough, you open yourself up to a world of possibility and potential. You start to attract people and experiences that align with your true self, and you start to create a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. And that's what I want for you. That's what I want for every single person watching this video. To know your worth, to claim your power, and to live a life that honors your deepest truths and your highest potential. So keep going, keep growing, keep acting like you're enough, and watch as your life starts to transform in ways you never thought possible. And if you ever doubt yourself or feel like you're not making progress, just remember you are enough. You always have been and you always will be. And every time you act like it, you're one step closer to creating the life of your dreams. So take that step, take that leap of faith, and trust that the universe will catch you and that it will conspire in your favor. Because when you act like you're enough, you open yourself up to a world of abundance and possibility. You start to see opportunities and blessings all around you, and you start to trust in the journey of your life. And that's when the real magic happens. That's when you start to experience a sense of peace and purpose that comes from living in alignment with your deepest truths and your highest potential. So keep going, keep growing, keep acting like you're enough, and watch as your life starts to transform in ways you never thought possible. And know that I'm here with you every step of the way, cheering you on, believing in you, and reminding you of your inherent worth and value. Because you are enough, you are worthy, you are valuable, and you have so much to offer the world just by being yourself. So go out there and be yourself, act like you're enough, and watch as the world reflects that truth back to you. And if you ever need a reminder, just come back to this moment. Come back to this truth and remember who you really are. Remember that you are enough and that you always have been. Remember that your worth is not something you have to earn or prove, but something that is inherent and unchangeable. And remember that you have a community of people who believe in you, who support you, and who are here to remind you of your enoughness whenever you need it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself and for the world. Thank you for being willing to explore your enoughness and to start acting like the incredible, worthy, valuable being that you are. And know that I'm with you every step of the way, cheering you on, believing in you, and reminding you of the truth of who you are. So go out there and shine. Go out there and be yourself. Go out there and act like you're enough, because you are. And watch as your life starts to reflect that truth back to you in ways you never thought possible. Because when you act like you're enough, you open yourself up to a world of possibility and potential. You start to attract people and experiences that align with your true self, and you start to create a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. And that's what I want for you. That's what I want for every single person watching this video. To know your worth, to claim your power, and to live a life that honors your deepest truths and your highest potential. So keep going. Keep growing. Keep acting like you're enough, and watch as your life starts to transform in ways you never thought possible. And if you ever doubt yourself or feel like you're not making progress, just remember you are enough. You always have been, and you always will be. And every time you act like it, you're one step closer to creating the life of your dreams. So take that step, take that leap of faith, and trust that the universe will catch you and that it will conspire in your favor. Because when you act like you're enough, you open yourself up to a world of abundance and possibility. You start to see opportunities and blessings all around you, and you start to trust in the journey of your life. And that's when the real magic happens. That's when you start to experience a sense of peace and purpose that comes from living in alignment with your deepest truths and your highest potential. So keep going, keep growing, keep acting like you're enough, and watch as your life starts to transform in ways you never thought possible. And know that I'm here with you every step of the way, cheering you on, believing in you, and reminding you of your inherent worth and value. Because you are enough. You are worthy, you are valuable, and you have so much to offer the world just by being yourself. So go out there and be yourself. Act like you're enough, and watch as the world reflects that truth back to you. And if you ever need a reminder, just come back to this moment. Come back to this truth and remember who you really are. What if I told you that the key to transforming your entire life lies within your own power to change? That by making one small shift in your thoughts, beliefs, or actions, you could unlock a world of limitless possibilities and abundance. In this video, we'll explore the profound truth that if you change, everything around you will change. But if you change nothing, nothing in your life will change. Get ready to be inspired, empowered, and equipped with the tools you need to become the architect of your own extraordinary destiny. You see, we live in a world that often feels beyond our control. Every day we're bombarded with challenges, obstacles, and circumstances that can leave us feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or powerless to create the lives we truly desire. But what if I told you that the power to transform your reality has been within you all along? That by making one simple choice to change, you could set in motion a ripple effect of positive transformation that touches every area of your life. You see, change is the one constant in life. From the moment we're born until the moment we take our last breath, we're constantly evolving, growing, and adapting to the world around us. But all too often we resist change. We cling to the familiar even when it no longer serves us because we're afraid of the unknown. But what if we embrace change instead of fearing it? What if we recognize that change is not our enemy, but our greatest ally on the path to personal growth and fulfillment? When you make the choice to change, something incredible happens. You start to see your challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities. You begin to recognize that every difficulty you face is simply a chance to learn, grow, and become the best version of yourself. And as you change, the world around you begins to change as well. Doors that were once closed start to open. Relationships that were once strained begin to heal. Opportunities that you never could have imagined start to manifest before your very eyes. But this transformation doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you've made a conscious choice to show up differently in the world. To think differently, to believe differently, to act differently than you have in the past. One of the most powerful ways to catalyze change in your life is to change your thoughts. Your thoughts are the lens through which you see the world, and they have the power to shape your reality in profound ways. When you choose to focus on thoughts of abundance, gratitude, and possibility, you start to attract more of those things into your life. You begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles, and you find the courage to take bold action towards your dreams. But when you allow yourself to be dominated by thoughts of scarcity, fear, and limitation, you create a self-fulfilling prophecy of struggle and lack. You close yourself off to the very things you most desire, and you limit your own potential for growth and success. So the first step in creating change in your life is to become aware of your thoughts, to notice when you're dwelling on negativity or self-doubt, and to consciously choose to shift your focus to thoughts that empower and inspire you. This isn't always easy, of course. Our minds have a natural tendency to focus on what's wrong rather than what's right, and it takes practice and discipline to retrain our thinking. But with time and persistence, you can learn to master your mind and harness the power of positive thought to transform your life. Another key to creating change is to change your beliefs. Your beliefs are the stories you tell yourself about who you are, what you're capable of, and what's possible for your life. And just like your thoughts, your beliefs have the power to shape your reality in profound ways. When you believe that you're worthy of love, abundance, and success, you start to show up in the world with confidence and clarity. You take bold action towards your goals, and you trust that the universe is conspiring in your favor. But when you're held back by limiting beliefs like I'm not good enough, I don't deserve it, or it's too hard, you create invisible barriers that keep you stuck and unfulfilled. You play small, you sabotage your own success, and you miss out on the incredible opportunities that are waiting for you. So the second step in creating change is to examine your beliefs, to ask yourself whether the stories you're telling yourself about your life are empowering you or holding you back. And if they're not serving you, to have the courage to let them go and replace them with beliefs that inspire you to be your best self. This process of belief change isn't always comfortable. It requires you to confront the fears, doubts, and insecurities that have been holding you back, and to take responsibility for your own growth and transformation. But when you do, you'll be amazed at how quickly your life begins to change for the better. But perhaps the most powerful way to create change in your life is to change your actions. After all, it's not what you think or believe that ultimately creates your reality, it's what you do. When you take consistent, purposeful action towards your goals and dreams, you set in motion a chain reaction of positive change, you build momentum, you gain confidence, and you start to see tangible results in your life. But when you fail to take action, when you procrastinate, make excuses, or let fear hold you back, you stay stuck in the same old patterns of limitation and lack. You watch your dreams slip away, and you resign yourself to a life of mediocrity and regret. So the third step in creating change is to commit to taking action, even when it feels scary or uncomfortable, to push yourself outside your comfort zone, to try new things, and to keep moving forward even when the path ahead is uncertain. This might mean taking a risk in your career, investing in your personal growth, or reaching out to someone you admire for mentorship or support. It might mean facing your fears head-on or letting go of relationships or habits that are no longer serving you. Whatever it looks like for you, the key is to keep taking action day after day, even when you don't feel like it. Because it's through consistent, purposeful action that you build the momentum and create the results you desire. And as you take action, something incredible starts to happen. You start to see yourself differently. You begin to recognize your own strength, resilience, and limitless potential. And you start to attract people, opportunities, and experiences that align with your highest vision for your life. But creating change isn't always easy. There will be times when you feel discouraged, overwhelmed, or tempted to give up. There will be setbacks, failures, and challenges that test your resolve and make you question whether change is really possible. In those moments, it's essential to remember that change is a journey, not a destination. It's a process of growth, learning, and self-discovery that unfolds over time, not a one-time event that happens overnight. And it's also crucial to be kind and compassionate with yourself along the way, to recognize that you're human, that you'll make mistakes, and that progress isn't always linear. To celebrate your wins, learn from your failures, and keep moving forward with faith and determination. Because the truth is, you have everything you need within you to create the life you desire. You have the power to change your thoughts, beliefs, and actions and to become the person you were always meant to be. But this power isn't something that's given to you by anyone else. It's something that you claim for yourself through the choices you make and the actions you take every day. So if you want to create real, lasting change in your life, start by making the choice to change. Start by examining your thoughts, beliefs, and actions and ask yourself whether they're serving you or holding you back. And then take action. Take one small step towards the life you desire, and then another and another. Keep moving forward even when it feels hard or scary, and trust that every choice you make is leading you closer to your highest potential. Because the truth is, if you change nothing, nothing will change. But if you're willing to change, to let go of what's not working and embrace the possibilities of what could be, you open yourself up to a world of limitless abundance, joy, and fulfillment. So don't wait another day to start creating the life you desire. Don't let fear, doubt, or excuses hold you back from becoming the person you were always meant to be. Choose to change and watch as your entire world begins to transform before your very eyes. Choose to believe in your own power, potential, and purpose, and trust that the universe is conspiring in your favor. And most importantly, choose to take action, because it's through action that you build momentum, create results, and become the master of your own destiny. So if you're ready to create real, lasting change in your life, start today. Start with one small choice, one tiny step forward, and watch as your entire world begins to shift in miraculous ways. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. There are countless others who have walked this path before you, who have faced their fears and overcome incredible odds to create lives of passion, purpose, and joy. So lean on their wisdom, their guidance, and their support. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, who challenge you to be your best self, and who inspire you to keep reaching for your dreams. And most importantly, never forget that you have the power within you to create any reality you desire. That by choosing to change your thoughts, beliefs, and actions, you can become the architect of your own extraordinary life. So go out there and start creating the change you wish to see in the world. Start becoming the person you were always meant to be, and trust that every choice you make is leading you closer to your highest potential. Because the truth is, if you change, everything will change. But if you change nothing, nothing will change. The choice is yours, the power is within you, and the time to start is now. So what are you waiting for? Choose to change and watch as your entire world begins to transform in ways you never could have imagined. Choose to believe in your own limitless potential and trust that the universe is conspiring in your favor. And most importantly, choose to take action. Because it's through action that you create the life you truly desire, a life of passion, purpose, and unbridled joy. So go out there and start creating the change you wish to see in the world. Start becoming the person you were always meant to be, and trust that every choice you make is leading you closer to your dreams. Because the truth is, you have the power within you to create any reality you desire. And by choosing to change, you open yourself up to a world of limitless possibilities and abundance. So don't wait another day to start living the life you truly want. Don't let fear, doubt, or excuses hold you back from becoming the person you were always meant to be. Choose to change and watch as your entire world begins to shift in miraculous ways. Choose to believe in your own power, potential, and purpose, and trust that the universe is conspiring in your favor. And most importantly, choose to take action. Because it's through action that you build momentum, create results, and become the master of your own destiny. So go out there and start creating the change you wish to see in the world. Start becoming the person you were always meant to be, and trust that every choice you make is leading you closer to your highest potential. Because the truth is, if you change, everything will change. But if you change nothing, nothing will change. The choice is yours, the power is within you, and the time to start is now. Have you ever found yourself wide awake in the middle of the night, unable to fall back asleep? You glance at the clock and it reads 3:17 a.m. You toss and turn, trying to drift off, but your mind is racing and your body feels restless. You're not alone. Many people experience this phenomenon, often referred to as the witching hour or the devil's hour, but what if I told you that this time between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. holds a special significance? What if I revealed that embracing these early morning hours could transform your life in ways you never imagined? I've been there, lying in bed, frustrated and exhausted, wondering why I can't seem to get back to sleep. It's a feeling that many of us have experienced at some point in our lives. But over the years, I've come to realize that these early morning awakenings are not a curse, but an opportunity to tap into a profound level of consciousness and harness the power of the universe. When you find yourself awake during these sacred hours, I want you to remember three things. First, acknowledge that this is a special time, a time when the world is quiet, and you have the chance to connect with your inner self. Instead of resisting the wakefulness, embrace it. Sit up in bed, take a deep breath, and let yourself be present at the moment. Second, use this time to set your intentions for the day ahead. Visualize your goals, your dreams, and the person you want to become. See yourself accomplishing your tasks with ease and grace, and feel the joy and satisfaction that comes with living a life aligned with your purpose. When you set your intentions during these early morning hours, you tap into a powerful energy field that will guide and support you throughout the day. Third, and perhaps most importantly, use this time to practice gratitude. In the stillness of the early morning, take a moment to reflect on all the blessings in your life. Think about the people you love, the experiences you've had, and the opportunities that await you. When you focus on gratitude, you shift your vibration to one of abundance and positivity, attracting more of the same into your life. You see, the hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. are a time of heightened spiritual awareness. It's a time when the veil between the physical and spiritual world is thinnest, allowing you to access a deeper level of consciousness. Many ancient traditions recognize this time as a sacred portal, a gateway to the divine. In Ayurvedic medicine, this time is known as the Brahma Muhurta, or the time of the Creator. It's believed that during these hours, the mind is at its most clear and receptive, making it an ideal time for meditation, prayer, and self-reflection. By aligning yourself with the energy of creation, you open yourself up to boundless possibilities and infinite potential. But it's not just about spirituality. There's a scientific basis for the significance of these early morning hours. Our bodies operate on a 24-hour biological clock known as the circadian rhythm. This internal clock regulates our sleep-wake cycle, hormone production, and other vital functions. Around 3 a.m., our body temperature drops to its lowest point, signaling the release of melatonin, the hormone that promotes sleep. At the same time, our brain waves shift from the deep, slow waves of sleep to the more active, high-frequency waveliness of wakefulness. This transition from sleep to wakefulness is a critical time for our brain and body. It's a time when our subconscious mind is most active, processing the events of the day and integrating new information. It's also a time when our creativity and problem-solving abilities are at their peak. Many great thinkers, artists, and inventors throughout history have attributed their breakthroughs and inspirations to the early morning hours. Thomas Edison, one of the most prolific inventors in history, was known for his unconventional sleep habits. He believed that the early morning hours were the most productive time of the day, and he would often wake up at 3 a.m. to work on his inventions. He famously said, "The best thinking has been done in the morning. Invention, production, and planning are nocturnal games. They are the work of those who need more light than the sun can give." Similarly, Benjamin Franklin, another renowned inventor and statesman, was a strong advocate for early rising. He believed that the early morning hours were the key to a productive and successful life. In his autobiography, he wrote, "Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." Franklin attributed much of his success to his habit of waking up at 5 a.m. and using those early hours to read, write, and plan his day. But it's not just about productivity and success. The early morning hours also hold a special significance for our emotional and spiritual well-being. When we wake up during this time, we have a unique opportunity to connect with our inner selves and tap into a deeper level of awareness. In the stillness of the early morning, we can hear the whispers of our soul guiding us towards our true purpose and destiny. We can access a well of inner wisdom and intuition that is often drowned out by the noise and distractions of the day. By taking the time to listen to our inner voice, we can gain clarity and direction, aligning ourselves with our highest path. This is a time for self-reflection, for asking ourselves the big questions: who am I? What is my purpose? What do I truly want in life? When we ask these questions in the quiet of the early morning, we open ourselves up to profound insights and revelations. But it's not just about introspection. The early morning hours are also a time for connection with the world around us and with something greater than ourselves. When we step outside in the pre-dawn hours, we are greeted by a world that is still and peaceful. We can hear the gentle rustling of leaves, the chirping of birds, and the distant hum of the city slowly coming to life. In these moments, we are reminded of our place in the grand scheme of things. We are a part of something much larger than ourselves, a cosmic dance of energy and consciousness. By connecting with the natural world and the rhythms of the universe, we tap into a source of infinite wisdom and guidance. So the next time you find yourself wide awake at 3 a.m., don't despair. Instead, embrace this sacred time as an opportunity for growth, healing, and transformation. Acknowledge the specialness of this moment, set your intentions for the day ahead, and practice gratitude for all the blessings in your life. Use this time to connect with your inner self, to listen to the whispers of your soul, and to align yourself with your highest path. Step outside and connect with the world around you, feeling the pulse of the universe and your place within it. Remember, the early morning hours are a gateway to the divine, a portal to a deeper level of consciousness. By embracing this time and using it wisely, you open yourself up to boundless possibilities and infinite potential. So, my friends, I invite you to welcome these early morning awakenings as a gift, a chance to transform your life in ways you never imagined. Trust in the wisdom of the universe and know that you are exactly where you are meant to be. As you lie in bed, feeling the quiet stillness of the early morning, take a deep breath and smile. You are on the cusp of a new day, a new beginning, and a new opportunity to create the life of your dreams. Embrace the magic of the early morning hours and watch as your life unfolds in miraculous ways. Trust in the journey and know that the universe is conspiring in your favor. And always remember, the power to transform your life lies within you. You are the creator of your own reality, the master of your own destiny. So wake up with joy, set your intentions with clarity, and step into each new day with gratitude and grace. The early morning hours are a sacred time, a time of infinite possibility and potential. Embrace them, cherish them, and use them wisely. For in these quiet moments, you hold the key to unlocking your greatest self and living a life beyond your wildest dreams. So, my friends, the next time you find yourself awake between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., remember these three things: acknowledge the specialness of this time, set your intentions for the day ahead, and practice gratitude. And know that in these sacred hours, you are not alone. You are part of a grand cosmic dance, a beautiful tapestry of consciousness and creation. Embrace the magic of the early morning and let it guide you towards a life of purpose, passion, and endless possibility. The universe is waiting for you, my friends. All you have to do is wake up and claim your destiny. As you embark on this journey of early morning awakening, know that you are not alone. Countless individuals throughout history have recognized the power and potential of these sacred hours. From great thinkers and inventors to spiritual leaders and mystics, many have found inspiration, clarity, and transformation in the stillness of the pre-dawn. One such individual was the renowned philosopher and poet Ralph Waldo Emerson. Emerson was a firm believer in the power of solitude and self-reflection, and he often used the early morning hours to connect with his inner wisdom. In his essay, Self-Reliance, he wrote, "In the morning, when you are sluggish about getting up, let this thought be present: I am rising to the work of a human being." Emerson understood that the early morning hours were a time to set the tone for the day ahead, to align himself with his highest purpose and potential. He saw each new dawn as an opportunity to rise to the challenge of being fully human, to embrace the gifts and responsibilities of this sacred existence. Another figure who recognized the transformative power of the early morning was the great spiritual teacher and author Eckhart Tolle. In his book, The Power of Now, Tolle speaks of the importance of being present and awake in each moment of aligning ourselves with the eternal now. He writes, "The moment you wake up in the morning, you can choose to be happy. You can choose to be present. You can choose to be grateful. You can choose to love. It's a choice you make every single day." Tolle reminds us that each new day is a gift, an opportunity to choose how we show up in the world. And the early morning hours are a perfect time to make that choice, to set our intention for the day ahead and align ourselves with the energy of love, gratitude, and presence. But it's not just about the wisdom of great thinkers and spiritual teachers. The power of the early morning is available to each and every one of us, regardless of our background or beliefs. It's a universal experience, a chance to tap into something greater than ourselves and access our own inner wisdom and guidance. When we wake up during these sacred hours, we have a unique opportunity to connect with the stillness and silence within. We can take a few moments to sit in meditation, to focus on our breath, and to quiet the chatter of our minds. In this space of inner peace, we can ask for guidance, clarity, and direction. We can also use this time to visualize our dreams and goals, to see ourselves living the life we truly desire. By holding a clear vision of what we want to create, we align ourselves with the energy of manifestation and attract more of what we focus on into our lives. But it's not just about what we do in these early morning hours. It's also about how we show up, the energy and intention we bring to each moment. When we approach this time with reverence and gratitude, we open ourselves up to the magic and mystery of the universe. We can use this time to cultivate a sense of wonder and awe, to marvel at the beauty and complexity of the world around us. We can step outside and watch the stars fade into the pre-dawn sky, feeling the cool breeze on our skin and the dew beneath our feet. We can listen to the gentle stirring of life around us, the first bird songs of the morning and the distant hum of the earth awakening. In these moments, we remember that we are part of something much larger than ourselves, a cosmic dance of energy and consciousness. We are stardust and light, infinite beings in a finite world. And the early morning hours are a reminder of this truth, a chance to connect with the essence of who we are and why we are here. As we move through our day, we can carry this sense of connection and purpose with us. We can infuse each moment with the clarity and intention we cultivated in the early morning hours. We can approach each task and interaction with presence and gratitude, knowing that we are exactly where we are meant to be. And when challenges arise, as they inevitably will, we can draw on the inner strength and wisdom we accessed in those sacred hours. We can remember that we are not alone, that we are guided and supported by something greater than ourselves. We can trust in the journey and know that everything is unfolding as it should. But the power of the early morning goes beyond just our individual lives. By embracing these sacred hours and aligning ourselves with the energy of the universe, we become part of a global shift in consciousness. We join a growing movement of individuals who are awakening to their true potential and purpose, who are creating a world based on love, compassion, and unity. As more and more of us embrace the magic of the early morning, we create a ripple effect that touches every corner of the planet. We inspire others to wake up to their own inner wisdom and guidance, to live lives of authenticity and purpose. We become beacons of light in a world that so often feels dark and uncertain. So, my friends, I invite you to join this global awakening, to embrace the power and potential of the early morning hours. Set your alarm a little earlier and give yourself the gift of this sacred time. Create a morning ritual that nourishes your mind, body, and soul, whether it's meditation, journaling, or simply sitting in silence and watching the world come to life. Know that by doing so, you are not only transforming your own life, but also contributing to the transformation of the world around you. You are part of a global shift in consciousness, a movement towards a more awakened and compassionate way of being. And always remember, the power to create change lies within you. You are the artist of your own life, the sculptor of your own reality. So use these early morning hours to craft a life that is truly worth living, a life that inspires and uplifts all those around you. As you move through your day, carry the energy of the early morning with you. Let it guide your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Let it remind you of your infinite potential and the boundless love that surrounds you. And when you lay your head down to sleep at night, give thanks for the blessings of the day and the opportunities of tomorrow. Know that as you drift off to sleep, the universe is conspiring in your favor, weaving together the threads of your destiny. For in the grand tapestry of life, each of us has a unique and important role to play. We are the dreamers and the doers, the healers and the creators. We are the ones who hold the power to shape the world we want to see. So let us wake up each morning with joy and purpose, ready to embrace the magic and mystery of this sacred existence. Let us use these early morning hours to connect with our inner wisdom, to align ourselves with the energy of the universe, and to create lives of meaning and impact. And let us never forget the power we hold within us, the power to transform ourselves and the world around us. For when we awaken to our true potential, there is no limit to what we can achieve. My friends, the early morning hours are a gift, a chance to step into our highest selves and create a world of beauty, love, and possibility. So let us embrace this gift with open hearts and minds, ready to embark on the journey of a lifetime. And as we move forward on this path, let us remember that we are never alone. We are part of a global community of awakened souls, each playing our own unique part in the grand symphony of life. Together, let us rise with the sun each morning, grateful for the blessings of a new day and the opportunities that lie ahead. Let us use these sacred hours to connect with our inner wisdom, to set our intentions, and to align ourselves with the energy of the universe. And let us carry this energy with us throughout our day, radiating love, compassion, and purpose in all that we do. Let us be the change we wish to see in the world, the light that guides the way for others. For in the end, it is not just about our own individual journey, but about the collective journey of humanity. We are all in this together, each of us a precious thread in the tapestry of life. So let us wake up each morning with the knowing that we are part of something greater, that our lives have meaning and purpose beyond our wildest dreams. Let us use these early morning hours to tap into that purpose, to align ourselves with the highest good of all. And let us never forget the magic and mystery that surrounds us, the infinite possibilities that exist in each moment. For when we live in alignment with the universe, anything is possible. My friends, the early morning hours are a sacred portal, a gateway to a life beyond your wildest dreams. So step through that portal with courage and grace, ready to embrace the adventure that awaits. Know that you are loved, supported, and guided every step of the way. Know that you have the power within you to create a life of joy, purpose, and abundance. And know that the universe is always conspiring in your favor, leading you towards your highest path. So wake up each morning with a smile on your face and a song in your heart, ready to greet the new day with open arms. Use these sacred hours to connect with your inner wisdom, to set your intentions, and to align yourself with the energy of love and possibility. And as you move through your day, let that energy guide your every step, your every decision, your every interaction. Let it be a reminder of the magic and mystery that surrounds you, the infinite potential that exists within you. For when you live in alignment with the universe, anything is possible. When you wake up each morning with joy and purpose, you become a beacon of light in a world that so often feels dark. So, my friends, let us embrace the power and potential of the early morning hours. Let us use this sacred time to transform ourselves and the world around us. Let us rise each day with the knowing that we are part of a global awakening, a movement towards a more compassionate and awakened way of being. And let us never forget the importance of this journey, the significance of each moment and each choice. For in the end, it is not about the destination, but about the journey itself, the lessons we learn, the love we share, the lives we touch along the way. So wake up each morning with a grateful heart and an open mind, ready to embrace the magic and mystery of this sacred existence. Use these early morning hours to connect with your highest self, to align yourself with the energy of the universe, and to create a life of purpose, passion, and possibility. And always remember, you are not alone on this journey. You are part of a global community of awakened souls, each playing our own unique part in the grand symphony of life. Together, we have the power to create a world of love, compassion, and unity. So let us rise with the sun each morning, grateful for the blessings of a new day and the opportunities that lie ahead. Let us use these sacred hours to tap into our inner wisdom, to set our intentions, and to align ourselves with the highest good of all. And let us carry this energy with us throughout our day, radiating love and light in all that we do. Let us be the change we wish to see in the world, the hope and inspiration for generations to come. For in the end, it is not about the accolades or the achievements, but about the impact we have on the world around us. It is about the love we share, the lives we touch, the legacy we leave behind. So, my friends, let us wake up each morning with the determination to make a difference, to be a force for good in the world. Let us use these early morning hours to connect with our purpose, to align ourselves with the energy of the universe, and to create lives of meaning and impact. And let us never forget the power we hold within us, the infinite potential that exists in each moment. For when we live in alignment with our highest selves, there is no limit to what we can achieve. So wake up each morning with a smile on your face and a fire in your heart, ready to embrace the magic and mystery of this sacred existence. Use these early morning hours to transform yourself and the world around us. And always remember, you are loved, you are supported, and you are exactly where you are meant to be. The early morning hours are a gift, a chance to step into our greatness and create a world beyond our wildest dreams. So let us embrace this gift with open hearts and minds, ready to embark on the journey of a lifetime. Together, let us rise with the sun each morning, grateful for the blessings of a new day and the opportunities that lie ahead. And let us use these sacred hours to create lives of purpose, passion, and possibility, forever transforming ourselves and the world around us.